Hey guys, it's Greg with By the Bootstraps, btbootstraps.com. Check out the store, check out the social media, like the video, subscribe. We've been gone for a week, just got back. Looked in the news because I really haven't paid much attention to anything, and I saw story after story after story after story after story about this Jussie Smollet, the Empire actor, who supposedly was attacked by two white men in Chicago. All right, the story goes that he was walking down the street about 2 a.m. in the morning, was attacked by two unknown people, which they later said they were white, wearing ski masks. One yelled out, "This is MAGA country," and then proceeded to pour a unknown chemical substance on him. There's been allegations that that was bleach, and then also were yelling racial epithets and homophobic slurs to him, and then put a noose around him. That's pretty bad. I mean, that's pretty bad. However, I'm going to say, before we all jump the shark and start making claims and allegations, you know, like Melissa Milano and most of the media, most of Hollywood, and most of the brain dead liberal shitheads out there, let's hold the brakes. All right, let's just pump those brakes a little bit, because if this happened to this actor, this black gay actor who played on Empire, he played on Alien Covenant and some other shows and things like that, that's beyond horrible. And there's no tolerance in our country for something of that nature. And if this did happen and they find the perpetrators, they ought to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. All right? I personally would get rid of the label of hate crime, because every crime by its very nature is an action of hate. I didn't realize that if you assault or murder someone who is of the same race, that would be any different than if you assault or murder someone because of a different color or ethnic background or sexuality. It's all hate crime in that regard. So the whole label of that should just go away, in my personal opinion. But that's my personal opinion. Anyway, if this happened to this man, all right, this Jussie Smollet, and he was literally attacked, and these things that he claims happened, and they find these individuals, these perpetrators, then they ought to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. However, if this comes out to be a false allegation and an attempt to bring notoriety to him in some way, shape, or form, then I would say whatever punishment would have bestowed upon these attackers would be given to him just as equally. And since there's two people supposedly who attacked him, he ought to be charged twice. And all the punishment that would have befell those two individuals, had they been convicted guilty, should fall to him. And I think they should do that with everything. Rape claims, abuse claims, hate crime, anything. If you make a false allegation, then anything that would have fell onto those individuals should be equally given to you. And then additional as well, such as falsely reporting to police, false allegations, whatever the man-hour and power of the investigation that goes into that, you ought to be charged for all of that. All right? Now, the reason why I say this, okay, is not because I believe or disbelieve this actor. I don't know this guy. I could care less. But his story sounds like bullshit to me. That's just to me. All right? If this guy is as big as an actor as they claim he is, where was his individuals that would have been with him? Who ends up at 2 o'clock in the morning in the middle of Chicago on the, I think it's, the riverside of Chicago? I mean, that's a fairly busy area for the most part. You know, he just so happened, like, these two supposed white guys who were homophobic and racially motivated, they just so happened to find the one black gay guy walking down the street at 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh, and they just so happened to be carrying bleach and a noose? And there's no corroborating evidence that the cops have seen or have released to say, affirm or deny his claim? They're still investigating? I mean, that in and of itself doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't sound like Chicago. It doesn't sound like something that would naturally or normally happen. Now, there is a chance I understand that, so I'm willing to, I'm willing to take a step back before I make an absolute decision and say, let's see what happens. Unlike Hollywood and media, where they've already condemned Trump supporters, and they don't even know. See, but here's the other thing that bothers me. How many false claims have come out in the last 5 to 10 years? All right? You've had waitresses who were gay, lesbian, and just straight up gay, have said, "Oh, I've been targeted. I've been left notes with tips that say, don't be gay, stop being a fag, stop being a homo, whatever." And then come to find out that never happened. They wrote that. They put that on there. How many times have we seen, supposed hate crimes against African Americans, where they said that a swastika was drawn on their door in their college dorm, or a noose was hung outside their college dorm, or that they burnt down a black church, and then come to find out that that didn't happen. In fact, just the opposite. They themselves perpetrated the crime, but yet tried to claim some kind of victimhood against another group. How is that not hate crime against the people that they said did the hate crime to begin with? Is that not racially motivated? When a LGBTQ 123 XYZ whatever claims that they were discriminated against, and it turns out they weren't discriminated against, is that not equally a hate crime against those who didn't perpetrate the crime, even though you claim that they did? They're being very selective with this hate crime legislation, I would say. Anyway, I don't personally buy the story. I mean, from a personal perspective, it sounds too fishy. The guy doesn't want to hand over his phone records. So supposedly he was talking to his manager. It would have taken just a moment to hand it over to the detective on the scene so that they could have pulled the record to verify that he was talking to his manager, and they could have pulled the same records from the manager. It would have taken literally nothing. There's no corroborating evidence when it comes to camera and surveillance. And if you've ever been in Chicago, cameras are everywhere. But yet this guy so happened to find the one back alley corner that had nothing. Plus, supposedly the guy was attacked and he walks into a medical facility with the noose around his neck. Well, if I'm getting attacked and I've got a noose around my neck, I think the very first fucking thing I do is take the noose off. I mean, what'd you think of what? The piece of jewelry or something? You're walking around, hey, look at this? And that doesn't happen. I mean, to me it sounds like a bunch of crap, and I can't wait to see how this turns out. But if it does come back to be false, that man ought to be eviscerated. Legally and publicly. Anyway, comment below, let me know what you guys think. Like I said, check out the store, b2bootstraps.com. Check out the social media, like and subscribe to the video. I'll talk to you guys later.